Hello. Ooh, do I have earrings? I do. Okay. Hello. Hello. It's Wednesday. We know what Wednesday means. Excuse me. It's Wednesday. Oh, I need to go get a little something to drink. My throat's a little dry. I also don't have makeup on again today, but that's because I'm gonna do a facial later, and so I'm like, I don't want to put all this stuff on my face. Excuse me. And I'm about to really get in there, so I'm gonna go get me some water. Hold, please. Ooh, look, I got a banner for that. Hold on. I do. Do I? Oh. I'm back. Ooh. All right. So we've got today's Wednesday. Wednesdays are for Ask Coach Catasha. So that means we have our user questions where you can send in questions and we can answer your sexual health questions. Um, and we can answer them live. If you have questions, you can drop them in the chat. I'll be happy to answer whatever questions you have. Um, if you have questions that you don't feel comfortable asking or uh, want them attached to your name, you can email those questions to excuse me. And so yes, I would actually no, don't do that. Okay, let's see. Ooh, okay, that's a good one. Oh, this time I'm gonna remember to copy this in front of it. So we got some pretty good questions. All right, let's see what else we have. I need to make sure I can see all of the. Okay. Oh no, hold on. I'm being better. I'm checking all the places. Oh, this is about to die. Where's the charger? Okay, let's see if we got anything in this inbox. Anything interesting? Okay. Oh, I need to remember to go to what's it called? Um, requests. Okay, it's nothing in there. Let me check on this one. Nope. Okay. What else? What else? Where else do we need to check? Okay. Ooh, okay. Let me copy that. And then we'll paste that over here. All right. Okay. Where else do we need to check? Do y'all let's see. Oh, I was supposed to do this. Let me hold on. They said we're not gonna let you in unless inbox that you send that to. So I'm on house arrest today. I had all these plans. I had to cancel all my plans today. My knees have been cutting up. Like they really been cutting up. Um, and I got caught yesterday. Like, Bruce caught me yesterday. So I just gotta make sure, cause he gonna make me go to the doctor. Yeah, he is. He's gonna make me go to the doctor. And so I don't see it. Okay, maybe it's in the junk. I bet that's where it is. Especially if it's a message from them. Okay, let's see, let's see. Um, I didn't I don't oh, is it here? I don't think it is. Let me look. Why is everything so hard? Why are they doing stuff like this? Downloaded 8 messages. Message I need? No, is not. Thank you for asking. Okay, this probably need to go in the inbox. Oh no, that might actually be junk. Where is my dang code? I'm missing a code. Excuse me. Oh, I want to save that. Can I do that? I'm not worried about that. Okay. So let's start with our questions. First question for today is what's the most effective birth control method? So birth control methods, it's not really an effective thing versus an ineffective thing. It's kind of just like what works best for you. Different birth control methods are going to be better fits for different types of people. For example, if you know that you are not good with keeping up dates and, repeating activities over and over at a specific time, you may need to choose a more long-term option for your birth control. If you are fine with that and you don't want, you can, you're fine with doing whatever it needs to be done, but you just don't want anything that has hormones in it, then they have a birth control for that. And so there are lots of different types of birth control. Anything that stops the egg from fertilizing or from reaching, or anything that stops the process in between of that, is considered birth control. So condoms are also considered birth control. Um, Outside of, people usually just think of like pills and the birth control pills and things like that, but contraceptives are forms of birth control. Spermicides are a form of birth control. Anything that is supposed to disrupt that process is going to be a form of birth control. So it just mostly depends on what you need. If you're looking for something long term, short term, we did a class on birth control. I might run it back. Ooh, excuse me. Again, I just been in the house all day because I can't go outside because I think the weather, I don't know what's going on, but like my knees are really, really tripping. I think it's this shift with like the hurricanes and stuff that's coming in, like the weather in the other places. The barometric pressure is just crazy, and I think that that's what's like tearing my legs up because like I don't think I was on the back of a boat, but I was laying down, so like I wasn't even, and it was messed up before then anyway. But so I gotta rest. I gotta rest. So I'm think I'm gonna just take it easy today. But tomorrow I got a yard to go do, so I won't be able to rest that much. But we'll rest as much as we can. You didn't send me nothing. What are you talking about? You sent it to there because it's not in there. But yeah, so the most effective birth control method is just gonna be whatever you're gonna need at the time, and you're gonna move throughout life. Different birth control methods will change. You will have different needs, different birth control needs as you go about your life, and you will have different um, birth control options at that time. So you will have pills. Okay, let's break it down. We have short-term options, which are going to be pills, creams, um, like spermicides, condoms, um, diaphragms, things like that, right? Those are going to be your short-term contraceptive options. Is that all of them? Hold on, let me go back through. Yeah, condoms, you get the gist. You're talking about just stopping the period for, something that you have to do on a repeated basis to be able to stop the process of getting pregnant. So it's a repeated activity that you do to stop you from getting pregnant. So that could be using a spermicide, using a diaphragm, using condoms, taking a birth control pill, something you just have to do on a regular basis. So those are going to be your short-term options. Your long-term options are going to be things that you do on a further basis. So that's going to be your Depo shot. That's going to be your Nuva ring. That's going to be your Nepalon, your implants. Things like that are longer lasting, and so you don't have to do an everyday repetitive activity to have the birth control, it's usually like 3 months, 6 months, a year, things like that. Or every month, you just put a ring in and you take it out for the time frame of your period. But that is considered like a long-term option because it's not something that you have to do every day for um, protection, for pregnancy protection. And then you have your permanent options, which is going to be getting a vasectomy, having your partner get a vasectomy, or you getting a tubal ligation, or getting any parts of that removed, getting your ovaries removed, getting a hysterectomy. All those types of things are going to be um, your permanent birth control options. So again, it's just going to be whatever is best for you. Now, you did not say if you were a male or female, or what your makeup is. So there are not a lot of birth control options for men, but there are some and there are some that like have been known to cause a delay in sperm production, or a delay in the quality of sperm, and all those different types of things. But it's all still very that's not the word I want. New. I don't know why I want to say recreationally, but that's not the word. It's all very new. Um, and I don't see that changing in the next couple of years, just based on the way this administration is gutting, healthcare and things like that. So I don't think, but you never know, because the people who need those services are usually people with money, and they seem to get things done. That's why the tanning beds don't have tariffs on them, because the rich people need access to tanning beds without the additional issues. So, um, it's just going to be based on you, and all of them won't work for you. Keep that in mind as well. And so if you do take a birth control, the whatever one that you get may not be the best option for you, and you may have to switch. And there are different reasons why you could switch. You could have breakthrough bleeding, or often you're bleeding. You could have a weight gain. You could have extreme mood swings. You could have issues with your blood pressure. You could have hormonal issues. You could have sensitivity for blood clots. There's a lot of different things that could happen that would make you have to switch birth control. So just be prepared and have an idea of what is out there, so that and that if this is not working, that you can suggest other options for your birth control needs. There was another thought that I had with that. Let me see if I can find it in my files. I'm close to it, I know. Oh, found it. The best option that you have for having an effective birth control is using more than one birth control. So if you are out having sex recreationally, which we do not judge, you definitely need to be using more than one form of birth control, and that could be between you and your partner. But there needs to be two forms of birth control in between each session, in between each two people. Okay. And that could look like a condom and spermicide. That could look like a vaginal condom and a diaphragm. Now, those are kind of the same things. A diaphragm and birth control. It could be a condom and something else. It could be, and there are different types of contraceptives. So you have barrier contraceptives. You have, pregnancy barrier contraceptives are used to prevent pregnancy, but they also are used to prevent STDs and STIs. So you should always be using at least one barrier contraceptive in your sexual encounters. Okay. So of those two birth controls, one of them needs to be a barrier contraceptive. That barrier contraceptive is going to protect you from STDs and STIs. The other contraceptives, like a diaphragm or spermicide, those things do not protect you from STDs and STIs. They only protect you from pregnancy, and only loosely. So the best chance you have to get the most effective form of birth control is to use at least two forms of birth control. You can use as many as you want. Some of them you don't need to stack up, right? Of course, but I do need to say this because you don't know that you don't want to use a condom for the penis and a condom for the vagina. So you don't need to use a male condom and a female condom. Those are the same types and they do the same things. You want to use differing types. So you would want to use a female condom and spermicide, or you would want to use a male condom and a diaphragm. That's how you want to stack it. So you don't want to use the same type of contraceptive. You don't need to use the same type of contraceptive twice. So you only need one barrier contraceptive. You only need one other type of contraceptive. So, but yes, that's going to be your best chance. At least two forms is going to give you the most effective form of birth control. If you know you're not good with pills, don't set yourself up for that. But there are some things that you are going to need to be aware of if you're going on birth control. Birth control is going to mess with your hormones. That is going to happen. So it's going to make you, feel. Okay, let me take that back, because there are people who are put on birth control because they have really terrible cycles. Okay, if you have really terrible cycles and you get put on birth control, the side effects of birth control are nothing compared to what you've been dealing with. Okay, so you may not feel worse for wear if you are put on birth control, if that is the reason that you are being put on birth control. If you have normal cycles and you are being put on birth control strictly to regulate your cycles, or to not regulate as in regulate like how much, but just to make sure that you're getting them consistently in case you're trying to conceive, or any of the other reasons, just to not become pregnant, you are gosh, where did it go? It left again. I was using it still. I was still using it. Hold on. Oh, you will see if you are getting on birth control just to prevent pregnancy or for other reasons outside of trying to manage heavy flow and all those things, then you may see some of these signs. You may see breakthrough bleeding, which means you could bleed for a little while on some of the birth controls. You can become moody. You can have thoughts of, self-deleting. All of those things could happen as the birth control is like setting into the body. Essentially, what birth control does is it disrupts the process of ovulation. That's what it's supposed to do. And so if there is no ovulation, then the body doesn't create an environment for the egg and, all those things. The body doesn't do all of the steps it needs to do to create a pregnancy. And so if you are on the pill, that is essentially what it does, is it introduces this progesterone into the body. And when the body is making progesterone, it knows that it is not, it did not get pregnant. And so it introduces the progesterone into the body as a signal like, oh no, we're not making babies right now because we already have this in our system. So, but if you know that you are not good at taking pills, don't sign yourself up for taking the pill, because you do need to be pretty diligent to ensure that you don't get pregnant. And by being diligent, that means you need to take your pill at the same time every day. And if you do not take it, then you have to use a additional barrier method or additional contraceptives for 7 days until that amount of progesterone gets back into your system, or whatever's in your birth control. Sometimes it could be progesterone and estrogen. It just depends. But the first part of that is not the problem. The first part, remembering, to retake your pill, all of that second part of following up with another contraceptive option is where most people fail. And so that is going to be the part that's going to make or break if you are good at taking the oral birth control, taking the pills. If you are not, don't set yourself up for it. Okay, you can get on the ring, which is a ring that you can put inside. It goes up right up against your cervix, and it gives your body that those hormones over a longer period of time. So that ring releases that hormone into the body over the 3 weeks, and then you would take the ring out. The body doesn't have access to that hormone, so it knows it's time to bleed. Once you put it back in, the body senses the hormone has restarted, and it goes on its process again. So you don't if you don't have that amount, the amount that you need in your system, you can absolutely, your body can think that, hey, it's time to make a baby because we don't have it. And if you don't take the necessary precautions, your body will get in to make a baby. So it's important that if you are going to be a pill taker, if you say, hey, I can, I take my vitamins every day, I'll do it when I brush my teeth, it's nothing. It's not that. That's not the part. The part is that when you miss it, you have to be diligent for the next 7 days to ensure that you do not come up pregnant. That's going to be the part. So if you don't have that, that's fine. You can do they do a little piece in your arm that pretty much does the same thing. You can get an IUD where they slide this little tube up, and depending on what the IUD, what's in there, if it's just a copper tube or if it's just if it's another piece of material that emits progesterone, or I think it's mostly just the IUDs just disrupt the process. Let me look that up. I don't usually do IUDs. I know they have copper, and I think that they're hormone and non-hormonal. Hormonal IUDs release progesterone, thickening the cervical mucus and potentially inhibiting ovulation, while also thinning the uterine lining. Non-hormonal copper IUDs create a spermicidal environment within the uterus, preventing fertilization. So that's what I thought. The copper changes the environment and doesn't make it conducive to sperm. And so the sperm don't have the environment. There's a lot of little things that happen that your body has to go through to ensure that you can make a baby. And if you mess with any part of that process, it can disrupt it. And so that's essentially what the IUDs do, is they disrupt the process, either through doing hormones or manipulating the environment, creating a spermicidal environment. So that is how that works. So the most effective form of birth control is just going to be what's best for you. You would have to figure that out on your own. And oh no, did I miss one of my? I think I missed. Oh no, they probably. Oh no, I'm fine. I didn't have one of my chats open. That's not going to show in there. Where's the other one at? Hooey. Like, just even my knees just like sitting here. Like, I can feel them like womp womp. Womp womp. Ooh, but I hope everyone's okay. Like, I know that weather for those storms is bad. So, um, and hurricanes are scary. All right. Next user question. And okay. So the question is it okay to say no even in a relationship or marriage? I'm older, 56, and my girlfriends are flustered that I don't want to have sex with my husband sometimes and speak about duty. Is that true? So that's a really good question, and I'm really glad that you asked it. And I'm glad that you are um, questioning certain types of thinking. And you're absolutely right. You should be questioning that because that's not true. There is nothing that could happen to you that would require you to give up your bodily autonomy. Okay? You are your own body's captain, and no one can make you or force you or any of that to do anything. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. And it's okay not to be in the mood sometimes. Um, Now, I will say that if your girlfriends are around your age, that may have been something that they were taught. That may have been um, the way that they were reared. And there are some people who do believe that, depending on how religious they are or how misogynistic they are, that there is no in marriage, that it's your responsibility to give me your body and it's my responsibility to give you my body. But if I don't want your body, what if I don't want it? Like, is that an equal exchange if I'm if I don't want it? So it is a lot of unlearning that people have to do about marriage and about healthy relationships. And I definitely think that's one of the things. You you are not obligated in any way, shape. You can change your mind in the middle of it. Could be 6 pumps in, and you could say, you know what, I'm not comfortable. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this anymore. And that would be absolutely okay. You can refuse your body to anyone at any time. You can refuse it to yourself if you want to. you it I hate that I hate that became the norm, because it doesn't give both parties the satisfaction of intimacy. It makes it a chore for one person, or even maybe for the other person. It's just something that we need to get done. Like, we're married, this is something we need to get done. I that just It makes me sad. It makes me feel terrible that there were a lot of women that grew up in a time frame where their pleasure was never going to be a priority, where their autonomy was never going to be a priority, where they were property. You couldn't do anything without your husband. You couldn't have things without a husband. You couldn't exist without the express ownership of a man. And so that has shaped the way that your friends view relationships even now. And not saying that there's anything wrong with that. If that's what you want, then yes. If they have a thing, it's called free access. If your partner can have it all the time, then that's fine. But if that's not what you want, if that is not what you want, then that's not fine. So maybe repose the question to them: is this something that you're doing because you want to do it, or because you think it's your duty, your responsibility? Because if that is the case, then you are being peer pressured, and we have a word for that, and it's not consensual intimacy. If you feel like you are being forced, and not forced like someone's grabbing your hands and grabbing your arms and throwing you down, but that they're going to make your experience more miserable if you don't succumb to this activity. For example, if they are going to withhold interaction with you, if they're going to ignore you for the rest of the night because you don't want to have intimacy with them, if they are going to punish you financially, if they are going to make you feel bad, try to guilt trip you, and you know that that's going to happen, so you just do it because you don't want that to happen, that is still considered coercion, which is a form of sexual assault. It's actually a form of rape. So you have to be very careful of some of the things that you bring forward from that age, because it's harmful. It can be harmful. And so if you have the feeling, if you share in that duty, responsibility, right, all those things, I want to ask you to look inside and to see, is this something that you want to do, or is it something that you're doing because you think you're supposed to do it? Is this an activity that, or a belief that you are bringing forward that needs to be left back where it was, and probably shouldn't have been there either, right? If people never needed to own other people, women would have never been property. We would have been equal members of society who were able to move and do things in the same way that other people were able to do them, that our male counterparts were able to do them. But we're not. People needed a hierarchy. They needed to own people. They needed to set that standard. And now some of those things have become perversions on healthy relationships. You should want to be intimate with your partner. And if you do not want to be intimate with your partner, you should not be forced to be intimate with your partner. You should not feel guilted into it. You should not feel sorry for them. You should be interested in doing it. Now, there are going to be times when you're going to have differing libidos, right? You're going to be higher sometimes. They're going to be higher. You're going to not be in the mood. They're going to not be in the mood. That is okay. That's absolutely fine. You know, think of your relationship with your partner like a relationship with your family. You know, you can't just throw your mama away because she keep burping. She keep burping when you have company. There is going to be times when you're going to have to be present for your partner. And some of those times you're not going to want to do that. That does not have to mean that becomes the norm for you. That is a decision that you make, and not a decision that's being made by any outside people or partners. And I know that people don't necessarily want to hear that, but that's not realistic. That there are things that I don't want to do, but I know that there are things that still need to be done, and still, I know that there are things that I'm responsible for. It doesn't mean that I want to do them. So sometimes we are going to do things that that we may not be in the best mood for, but we're still making the decision to do that. We're still the one saying, "Oh, okay, well, I wasn't in the mood, but finish taking your shirt off. Let me see." Like you get to make that decision, or just on some, okay, let's roll over. Just did it on the side. So, but no, you do not. There's no one that has an inherent right to your body. that you don't want them to have. No one can tell you what to do with your body. No one can um, make the choices on when and where you can share your body. That is nobody's business but yours. So, no, Miss Ma'am, it is not true. You do not have to do that. And we talk a lot about consent, and we talk a lot about body autonomy, and there is a whole generation of women who have no idea what that is, who have never known the autonomy of one's body. And they were parents who had children who also never learned the autonomy of a body. And so I when I encounter this, which, sometimes in what we do, I do encounter this, it is, it's always a, that's just what we were supposed to do type thing, right? Like, well, this is just what my mom said you're supposed to do to keep a man. And this is, what my grandma said, you do because you have a responsibility. And this is what the Bible says about, blah, blah, blah. No, you do not have to do that. You can decide when and where and who you want to share your body with. And you can make that decision at any age. It's not too late for your friends. It's not too late for them. Oh, the questions aren't showing up on TikTok. Hold on. So y'all have no idea what I'm talking about. My bad. Let me put it in there. Okay. It didn't post the whole thing, but you get it. But no, you do not have to. You are not required. You are, no matter who you're married to, what you're doing, what the circumstances are, you don't have to share your body with anybody you don't want to. Okay? And you tell whoever that I said so. And that I like to fight, so they can come and get all the smoke if they want it. But again, you should be, your desire for sexual activity should be the driver and the reason that you're engaging in sexual activity, not any other reason, because you want to. I'm here because I heard we was gonna have a good time, and they got good Wi-Fi here, and I heard the snacks be busting, and that's the reason why I'm here. So you do not have to. You don't. Ooh, do I want to do that one? I think I do. Ooh, but I might put something in there. Oh, I'm touching stuff. I have been having a hard time focusing. I mean, we've been talking about that though. But I've been having a difficult time focusing on stuff. But I don't know, I feel like I'm on the up and up. Hopefully, we never know. If you have any questions, you can leave your questions in the chat. Let me make sure I haven't missed any. I don't think I have, but it's in a lot of different places, so I'm not quite sure. So I just gotta be sure. Okay. I'm fasting today, and man, am I hungry. Woo chow. Okay, next question. Let me find my notepad. Hold on. Can I close you down? Cause you're kind of on my nerves. Okay. Um, my fingers is itching. Ooh, this is a good question. Okay. Okay, so let me post it everywhere and then so I can make sure everyone sees it. And these are all questions that were emailed and submitted. You can email your questions if you want, and I will be happy to answer them. The next question is, how do I know? Oh, I pasted it 2 times. Sorry. How do I know if my partner is really giving consent? Also, another really good question. Um, and I wish I had a straightforward answer for you, uh, but I don't. So the only thing that you can do is do your best to gain the consent. Okay. So, because sometimes people will pretend, or not pretend, that's not the word that I want. They will, um, sometimes people get nervous. They like laugh, and you will think that this is a good environment, that you guys are talking or whatever, but in actuality, that person might be really nervous, and that may be a response, and they may be having a panic attack, and you really wouldn't know. So the only thing that you can do is make sure that you're having the conversation with your partner about, the importance of consent, and making sure that you are both on the same page, and that you are not being, that they are only engaging in activity that they can 100% say that they're excited about, that they're curious about. Um, but that is not going to mean that that's going to be the truth when they tell you that. So your job is just to make sure that you are doing your best to gain it. So are you asking the questions, how are you feeling about this? Asking in the middle, asking mid pump, mid stroke, asking when anytime anything new is introduced, even asking when things are about things that you've already kind of discussed, like just to make sure this is what we on right now. Okay? Like, and make sure you're getting the confirmation that there is an understanding of what's going on. So, and we talked about that when I talked about Shannon Sharp. Again, there are consent conversations that can be had that are not being had that would save a lot of headache. So if you say, what are you into? Oh, I'm into these types of things. Oh, okay, cool. Well, is that something that we can explore together? I would like to be able to have, these types of conversations with you, or engage in this type of play with you. And if we're both into it, is that cool that we start that? And then set the parameters around when you want to do it. Is this something that we need to talk about first to get into, or like, is it on, whenever, wherever? And like, say for instance, we'll use Shannon. If you wanted to say the conversation with the text messages that leaked, if you wanted to be able to do that and to have that conversation, you would just say, hey, I'm into a form of BDSM called masochism and sadomasochism. And so with that, I like to, I enjoy seeing you uncomfortable, humiliated, in pain. I get turned on by that. Is that something that you're also interested in? And if that person expresses, yes, I am, then you say, oh, okay, well, which part of that, are you the masochist? Are you the sadomasochist? Do you like delivering the pain, or do you like receiving the pain, or do you just like watching? Is it the humiliation part that you're more interested in? Right? So we're having consent conversations. What is it? What's okay? So it's the humiliation part. Okay. So is that something that you need to be warmed up for? Do we need to make sure that we're setting it in a specific context, like only when we are in this room, or is it something that we can do through text to kind of are you cool with that? If those parameters have been set in place, I believe that from the information that we received, I do not have all of it, but from the information that we received about the case, that it could have gone differently. It could have gone differently. So sometimes there's conversations that need to be had that we're not having that could save a whole lot of trouble on the way we are interpreting things, making sure that our needs are getting met, making sure that everybody who's involved is consenting adults, and that all the documents and everything. Now again, does that mean that would have saved him in the long run? No. It could absolutely still mean that, based on some of the other information or whatever, that could have still gone the same way. But if you are going to be engaging in that type of play, right? If you're going to be engaging in a rougher, more complex form of power dynamic, then you need to have that conversation in writing, documented, not in person. It needs to be documented in writing. So even if you have it in person, just like you do at work, CYA, send a text message. Hey, just to cover what we talked about earlier, you said it was cool if we played a little bit rougher, and what was on the table is this, this, and this, and what was off the table was this, this, and this. Just want to make sure that that's still what, I just want to have that in writing and confirm that that's what we're saying. So those consent conversations, I think that people think that they're corny, but there's nothing about being safe that's corny. But also, people want more conversation. They want to have more discussions about what's available to them, what options do they have available. They want to have those discussions. So I think that people don't necessarily keep that in mind. Everybody's talking about, I want to talk her through it, and she talked me through it, and all this. And what do you think that is? What do you think those are? Those are conversations about that you're having during sex. So you're already having the conversations. So let's just have them about the things we need to be having them about. Okay, what do you like? What do you want? Is this too much? Are you still good? All those things are important, just as important as you doing great, and you doing a good job, and all those good things. We need to start having honest conversations about consent, about body autonomy, about all of those things, because you don't want to raise a next generation of kids who are also struggling with owning their bodies and having body autonomy. And that's kind of where we are, like having a new generation of children who, well, I will take that back, because these kids got songs and stuff. You're not finna be playing with them. They know who's supposed to be where, who's touching what. It shouldn't be nobody doing nothing extra, and I love that for them. I absolutely love that for them. So just have the conversations and have them in writing, so that when it does come back up, because it is very difficult to play when you are in those other power dynamics. And we talked about one of my friends, Samantha Manowitz, I love it. I like to be able to say that. It gives me good feelings like Juliana Margulies. But my friend Samantha Manowitz, she just did a class on sex and power, and she was talking about one of the things that she does is teaching people who are in BDSM how to have the conversations with their physicians, because those conversations can be kind of can be a little rough if you're going into the doctor's office and you got bruises all over you, but they're bruises that you want, right? But their doctor doesn't, they may not understand that. They may not understand your type of play. They may not understand what's going on. And so she teaches like how to have those conversations. And I think that is such a dope thing. But the reason why she has to do that is because people look at um, those types of relationships and those types of power dynamics, and they make assumptions about you. They could be worried that you're in danger, or that you're self-harming, or all these things, when in actuality you just like kinky shit. Like, I'm sorry, I'm really just into kinky shit. Like, you got me, okay? I'm over here being kinky, and you found me out. So it's really difficult to have those conversations. On the other end of that, it's also important that I address the people who do just say like, "Oh, I want to, yeah, I'm with that," just because you don't want him or her not to like you anymore, or you feel like it's you that you're supposed to. That's also a part of the power dynamic that needs to cease. We all need to be honest about what we want and what we want to do and what we don't want to do, so that we're not perpetuating that type of environment on someone else, where someone has to be worried that you're not actually into this, that you're just saying that um, because I'm here. Like, you're just going along with it for other reasons, and you're not going along with it because you're interested in actually doing it. And that's not fair to the other person, because they're under the impression that you're here because you want to be, and you're there because you don't know how to say no, or you don't want to ruin the vibes or whatever. Let the vibes be ruined. They can be ruined. You can get a new vibe. They got vibes everywhere. Don't go along with things with the impression that this is going to make you a better person, it's going to make you a different person, or it's going to give you access to something. No, don't put yourself in situations where the you're not being honest when someone's giving you the opportunity to be honest. It doesn't matter um what you thought was going to happen or whatever. If you have the opportunity to be honest, just be honest. No, I'm not really into that. It's not really what I came here to do, or I'm not really checking for like what y'all are on right now. And that let that be totally okay. Like, no, I'm actually not into that shit. Y'all got it. And that'd be it. So you don't have to feel um, pressured into performing for people and to doing things that you wouldn't necessarily want to do. You don't have to do that. Always assume that people are telling you who and telling you how they want to be um, addressed and pleasured and all of that, because they're telling you the truth, and you have to assume that because you're telling the truth. So we all have to boss up and put our big person pants on, big person people panties on, and say, hey, I'm actually not into that. Please get away from me. And that's okay. That has to be okay. So, yeah, I mean, it's what you deserve. It's what everybody deserves. Everybody deserves the experience of that. Me and my husband were kind of chatting about this, um, the idea of, someone saying this is what I want, and but behaving in a manner Like, he was saying that, you can't do boyfriend things with people and expect them not to think that they're your boyfriend. And I disagree. I feel like there are people who want to do boyfriend things who don't want a boyfriend. And so, but you have to be honest about the other. Everybody has to be honest about what they want, about their desires, about the expectations. Because if we're not being honest, then somebody's going to get hurt. Don't do it. Don't go into the situation thinking you're going to change them, or that, this is going to be different, and, that you're going to, that they're going to change their mind. No. If that person is honest with you and telling you that this is not what I wanted, I only want this thing, then you have to take that for what it is. And because there are people who only want that thing. There are both men and women who are telling the truth when they tell you that they only want this thing. That's all I want. And so, but there are people who are clogging up the system who actually don't want that. That's not the life they want. They just keep saying that because it's a cool thing to say. And then they get their feelings hurt when, it goes exactly how the person who spoke about what they wanted, how it goes. And so you have to be honest. You have to be honest on both ends. You should be honest about what it is that you desire, and you should not accept the arrangement of something that you do not desire. Accept that type of arrangement. If that's not something that you want, don't accept it. Don't accept it. You don't have to. There's somebody out there who wants the same level of attachment that you want. You just have to go find them. And the only way you can do that is if you start being honest about what you want, and so they can find you. And it's okay for people to not to be the perfect person in that way. It's okay if, the thing that's wrong with this person is just this little thing. That's fine. That's fine. Everybody can't be perfect all the time, but you don't have to settle for someone who's going to make you feel, or someone you think should not want what they have desired. If they saying, I only want a sexual relationship, or I only want a romantic relationship, or I don't want any kind of commitment, you have to take those words at face value, because it doesn't matter how they act. If what they wanted is what they told you they wanted, that's all it is. There's nothing else. And so, but you have an expectation of something else, so you're setting yourself up to get your own feelings hurt. And you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. So just be honest. Be honest about what you want. Be honest about what's available, and you will find what's meant for you. You will find your person. I promise. All right. What do we got for the rest of the week? I don't even know if I've saved it. Hold on. I think I did them, but I don't know that I saved them. I need to print off my book, but I don't want to use my ink for it. I know. Don't judge me. I don't want to use up all my good ink. Okay. Let's see. I'm really hungry. Let me drink my water. But I've been cutting up. So, and I mean cutting up. Did I finish all of these? Nope, this one don't have time. Okay, hold on. Just hold, please. That's all it's needing. This is 2. Okay, and then we'll duplicate that. Ooh, okay. Um, ooh, that can I make this 1 row? I can. Sweet. Cause that's just a lot. Oh no, wait. Okay, and then I need to do 1. I feel like that one's gonna be. Okay, and then we'll put you down here, and I'm gonna make it. And then we'll do 1 over here. And then that also goes down here. Okay, is it? Are we good? Uh, I think I would like for that to be a little larger. And then maybe even just a little bit more. Okay, so if you have your questions, please feel free to drop them into the chat. Your sexual health questions, and I will answer them. If you don't see your question come up, the programs have built-in moderation. So some keywords it will not like allow. So if you have a question and you notice that it like didn't I didn't answer it or haven't said anything, I'm probably didn't see it. It might have got stuck somewhere. So ask again. Ask your question again. Um, Hold on. All right, all right. Okay. Allow. Thank you. All right. Okay. So now let's go here. No, where's the weekly? So we can talk about the rest of the week. Okay. So let's change that week because that's not the week anymore. And let's go with boom. So this is our schedule for the rest of the week. Um, Today was Wednesday, so tomorrow is going to be Thursday, and we're going to talk about relationship anarchy, which is a style of um, of relationship. So we'll talk a little bit about relationship anarchy tomorrow for Sex Tech Thursday. And then on Friday, it's just going to be late night with Coach Catasha. It's going to be at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. You do need to be 18 or older to view this content. And you can find me on YouTube, on Facebook, on TikTok, and on Twitch going live. I didn't put TikTok on there because it's really finicky with the. I don't have anybody that I can talk to when they block me for the type of content, of course, that I make. So like, I don't get to. I don't. Like, I'm not gonna put it on there as a somewhere to look for me because I'm not sure how long it's gonna stay. So that is our schedule for the rest of the week. If you have any questions that you would like to submit for Ask Coach Catasha, you can stop by every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, and you can leave your question in the chat, and I will be happy to answer it. If you don't want to leave it in the chat, you can email that question to expressionoverrepression@gmail.com, and I will be happy to bring it back to the chat on Wednesday. Um, and I will still answer it live. I answer your questions in, how the. Hold on, making sure I didn't miss nothing. Okay, nothing in there. Oh, is this going to be muted? It is. All right, all right. So yeah, you can bring it in. We'll be happy to answer it. I look forward to. We will be here tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So make sure that you are tuned in. We will be talking about relationship anarchy, and I'm excited about it. I like talking about different relationship styles, so it's gonna be interesting. I will see you tomorrow.